and avoid illegal disputes, which also provides decisions in a transparent and inexpensive manner. Who can apply the advance ruling? Here, applicant, the jurisdictional tax authorities in respect of the applicant, and they also have a factual law of the original advance ruling change, then the advance ruling will not apply. Now, coming to the provisions for GST advance ruling, the classification of any goods or services under GST Act, applicability of a notification which affects the rate of tax, determination of or the determining of time and value of supply of goods and services, whether input tax credit will be allowed or paid, or determination of a liability to pay tax on any goods or services. Applicant has to be registered under GST, and the applicant regarding to the goods and services will result in a supply or not. So these are the provisions which are need to be considered under the advance tax ruling. Now, coming to the format of a form, a detailed procedure for making the application has been prescribed under the Rule 104 of CGST Rules 2017. Here, an application for obtaining an advance ruling under subsection 1, section 97 shall be made from the common portal of GST in the form GST ARA, that is Advance Ruling Application 01. So whatever the application was made, it should be accompanied with a fee of 5,000 rupees, need to be deposited in the manner which is specified by the section 49. And even the section 49 deals with the procedures of a tax or interest or a penalty or a mechanism of making payment through electronic cash or credit ledgers. A verification may also be contained, and all relevant documents accompanying such application shall be signed in a manner so that the advance ruling mechanism in GST will verify the authentication of the documents through a digital signature certificate, which is specified in the information technology. Now, once the advance ruling was first sent to the authority, any person unhappy with advance ruling can appeal to the appellate authority for advance ruling, and an order can be admitted or rejected the application by the authority, so that that power will be exercised by the appellate authority and see to it that whether it can be admitted or rejected. Now, once the form and the manner of appeal, etc., has been taken care of advance ruling, the verification contained therein, the relevant documents accompanying such appeal shall be signed in case of a concerned officer, jurisdictional officer, by an officer authorized in writing by such officer, and the applicant in the manner specified above, that application filed under the jurisdictional officer for the respective state authority for advance ruling respectively can be considered. Now, coming to the rectification of mistakes, in case any mistakes which appears in the form can be amended or can be rectified, any mistake apparent from the record within a period of 6 months from the date of order. Now, this is about the advance ruling. Now, coming to the next is the Goods Transport Agency. Now, coming under Goods Transport Agency, it is very most popular form of goods transport via the road transport. So as per the National Highways Authority of India, 65% of freight and 80% of passenger traffic is carried through the roads mode of transport. So whenever the goods which are being transported through the road or a courier agency, then they are supposed to take the permission from the authorities. So the Goods Transport Agency means any company or a person who provides a service regarding the transport of goods by road and issues a consignment note by whatever the name called. And it implies for a person to be considered as a goods transport agency. He must have the authority to issue a consignment note. A consignment note is a document issued by the Goods Transport Agency against the receipt of the goods for the objective of transporting the goods by road in a goods carriage. Now, the consignment note makes the transporter responsible for the goods till it safely delivered the goods to the consignee. Now, what are the services are being provided by the goods transport agencies? Like loading, unloading, packing, unpacking, transshipment, temporary warehousing, etc. These are the services which are provided by the goods transport agencies. Now, coming to the services by way of transportation of goods which are exempted under the GST Act. So, by road, whatever the goods what are the services which are provided by the goods transportation agency, a courier agency, or an inland and waterways, all these are exempted under the GST. But whatever the goods which are being transported, usually the GST rate is chargeable. Now, mostly for the agricultural produce, milk, salt, food grains, organic manure, registered newspapers, magazines, relief material used by victims of natural calamities, and a defense or a military equipment for that purpose, GST rate is nil. So whatever the transportation being done relating to these products, the GST need not be payable. Whereas the goods consigned in a single carriage is less than 1,500 rupees, or goods for a single consignee which does not exceed rupees of 750, for that is also the tax rate is nil. Now, any household goods for the personal purposes, if it is being shifted from one place to another, even for that GST is nil. Whereas any other goods or a transporting the goods under GST payable paid by the goods transport agencies, that is 5%. No ITC is available, that is input tax credit cannot be availed if the rate of tax is 5%. Or if it is 12% of the tax payable, then ITC can also avail. Now, hiring out the vehicle to a goods transport agencies, then 0% GST supposed to be payable. That is, it is a nil rate. Now, coming to the registration, the people who are undertaking the goods transport agency supposed to be, that means either undertaking or engaging themselves in making such supply or service to be provided. They are supposed to be registered, and the payment which is to be made based on the reverse charge. They will take the reverse charge into the account, and making use of that reverse charge here is if the turnover doesn't exceed 20 lakhs. If it exceeds 20 lakhs, then there is a need that they have to obtain the registration. Now, who are the persons who are liable to pay the GST? Now, factory registered under the Factories Act, a society registered under the Societies Registration Act, a cooperative society established under any law, the GST registered person, a body corporate established by or under any law, or a partnership firm, whether registered or not, a casual taxable person. These are the persons which are the businesses required to pay GST under the reverse charge. Now, the next concept is online information and database access or retrieval services. Now, because of digitalization, now the mode of conducting the businesses have changed a lot. Now, business to the customer segments, which has been increased because of the speed of the internet. The transactions which are emerging, the industries are highly complex, and the cross-border transactions are making it more complicated. Now, under the GST regime, new services are also called as online information database access or a retrieval services is also included for the payment of tax. Now, here, what is online information database access or retrieval service? Means a services whose delivery is mediated by information technology over the internet or an electronic network, essentially automated, involving a minimal human intervention and impossible to ensure in the absence of information technology. Those services like advertising on the internet, providing cloud services, provision of ebooks, movie, music, software, and telecommunication networks, whatever the intangibles being provided through telecommunication networks or internet, and providing data or information retrieval or otherwise any person in electronic form through a computer network. Online supplies of digital content like movies, television shows, music, and like, and even the digital data storage, online gaming, etc. All these will be called as the services which are being provided by ODR services. So the need for ODR services, if you take it to the account, in the remote location outside the taxable territory, if these services are being provided, then whether the Indian service provider, if it is doing so, he'll come within the taxable territory. But out of the India, if anyone is being provided, but the recipient is in India and the service provider is not in India, but the recipient who is receiving such services, if it is in India, then automatically we have to see to it that those services supposed to be taxable. So those things like we have BSNL, Airtel, Jio. So these people, if they are providing such services to us, then they are supposed to collect the GST and payable the GST in Indian government. Whereas the Netflix who is doing that, if it is like foreigners, if they are doing so, the foreign countries, then in such cases, who is the recipient that will be taken into the account, under which taxable territory they fall, there the tax is supposed to be collected under the GST. Now here, who is responsible for the payment of GST need to be decided and need to be paid. Now, in case of filing of the returns, even by providing these kind of services, so we need to see to it that he has to file a return. The return should be filed under Form GST R5A, and every month they are supposed to be filed. And the person who is supplying online information or database from a place outside India is not taxable online, but within the territory India is supposed to be payable. The next topic which we are supposed to discuss is GST practitioners. Now, the goods and service tax practitioners can be any person who has been approved under Section 48 of the Act are eligible to be registered as a GST practitioner. Now, what are the conditions for becoming a GST practitioner? Here the conditions are: he should be a citizen of India, he should be a sound mind, he should be a solvent, and he should not have been convicted for any offense resulting for imprisonment of 2 years. And what should be his qualifications? He can be a retired officer from Commercial Tax Department, or he may be a sales tax practitioner, not less than 5 years, or a graduate or a postgraduate in commerce or law, banking, including higher auditing, or a business administration or a business management from any Indian university or a recognized foreign university. Or he can be a chartered accountant or a cost accountant or a company secretary. They can be qualified as becoming a GST practitioners. Now, coming to the procedures for applying the enrollment of GST practitioners, the person who is desirous of acting as a GST practitioner must apply under Rule 83, Sub-Rule 2, Sub-Rule 1 of CGST, Rules 2017. The officers authorized will conduct an inquiry and then enroll the applicant as a GST practitioner by issuing a certificate in Form GST PCT 02. And the applicant is not qualified, his applicant can be rejected, provided the enrollment will be valid till it is been cancelled. And the person who has enrolled supposed to pass the examination which is conducted within a period of 1 year from his appointed date as notified by the commissioner as per the recommendation of GST Council. Now, coming to the duties of GST practitioner, he has to file GSTR 1, 2, furnish the GSTR 3 and 9, make a deposit for credit into electronic cash ledger, file a claim for a refund if is supposed to get a refund, file an application for amendment or a cancellation of registration, or appear as an authorized representative. So these are the duties which he is supposed to do. So with this, we have completed the miscellaneous chapter. The next we have to start with the GST rules. Now, under the GST rules, some of the rules which we have already discussed when we were discussing regarding to the input tax credit rules, composition rules, payment rules, revised payment rules, revised return rules, refund rules. So these are the rules where, as and when we were discussing, so these are the things which we have already touched into. So specifically, there is no need for us to discuss what are the GST rules. Okay, now we'll be starting with the customs law. Let us start with the customs law. Now, see, earlier in olden days, when we used to have kingdoms, one person from one kingdom to reach to the other kingdom, first he has to meet the king and he has to state why he has entered into that purpose and what is that he wants to do in that kingdom. So if he came here to sell certain commodities, first he has to approach the king and he has to give all those details to the king, and then he has a right to sell the commodities or stay in that particular kingdom. Earlier it was like that. Even now also, if you take country to country into the account, the other country people would like to sell their commodities into our country. First of all, they have to take a permission from our authorities. Or what we will do is our people who are importing their goods. So first they have to see to it that the people who are importing the goods, what kind of the goods are being imported, and whether they are liable to pay the customs duty or not, what is the taxable event, and how a duty is payable, to whom the duty is payable, what are the objectives of the act, how a customs act is being designed, an overview of customs act and the customs tariff act. All this we are supposed to discuss. Now coming to the objects of customs act, which is extended the whole of India. Here in the act, they say about the levy and collection of duties, regulation of import and export of goods, and prevention of illegal activities such as smuggling, etc., protection of domestic trades, encourage and conserve the foreign exchange. So, for all these purposes, the Customs Act is being implemented. The next, coming to the duties, the customs duty, which is to be imposed on imports or exports. Now, mostly, whatever may be the goods which are being imported, they will attract the duty that is called as an import duty. The rates of custom duties are either specified, either specific or ad valorem basis. So what are the duties which can be levied? Now, basic duty can be levied, additional customs duty can be levied, countervailing duty can be availed, additional duty of customs or anti-dumping duty or a safeguard duty. These are the duties which are being levied on whatever the goods which are imported from other countries. Now, coming to the taxable event. What do you mean by a taxable event? Event which has taken place to levy any customs duty, that event we will call it as a taxable event. That means the goods are liable to pay customs duty either you are exporting those goods or importing those products into the territory of India, which are being outside from you're importing the goods from the outside and importing into the India, then it is liable to pay the duty. Now, here, coming to the Customs Act, it is a most crucial act that provides implementation and collection of the duty of the goods which are imported or exported within the territory of India. That we have to consider. Now, coming to the Customs Tariff Act, if you take into the account, there are two schedules are being stated. The first schedule gives you the classification of goods and the rates of duties for the imports. And the schedule 2 gives about the classification and rate of duties for export. One is for import, another one is for export, which are being specified in two schedules, Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. And additional duty or special duty or anti-dumping duty, etc., which are being also specified in your Customs Tariff Act. Now, coming to the customs duties, let us discuss what are the duties we have under the customs. First is the specific duty. How a specific duty is levied. Like, let us say, if you are importing a cigarette from other country to our country, then the duty is leviable taking the length of the cigarette into the account. We will not consider here the value. We will consider what is the length or what is the weight of measurement. We will take that as a base. Like, let us say if you're importing the sugar from outside country to this side. So we will see to it that how many kgs. It is the rate which is levied on sugar is kg wise. Now, if you import the cloth, then it is the meter. So you will take the per meter, what is the tax is leviable. So if you are importing the TV sets like Sony, if you import from any South Korea, then automatically what happens is either Samsung products or the Sony or any other products, if you are importing from outside India, then you are pertaining, like mobile, if you are importing, then per mobile, what is the tax is payable. That is how a specific duty which is being levied. Now, ad valorem duty is the percentage on the value. So you will take first the value. Based on that value of the commodity which is imported or exported, you will charge either a 10%, 5%, 20%, whatever may be the rate which has been specified in the schedules. taking that as a base, the duty is levied. So that is called as ad valorem duties. Now, compound duties, it is a combination of two. Specific duty is also implemented and the ad valorem duty is also implemented. There could be certain goods which supposed to take part in both. And some exemptions are also maybe available under the customs duty. So what are the exemptions? Like, let us say central government has a power to grant the exemption. Yes, ma'am.
Custom duty ante tax kada ma'am.
Yeah, duty and tax is the same, Nana.
Okay.
The meaning is the same. Why we are calling it as duty? Why we are not calling it as a tax? That means, Nana, it is only a nomenclature which is being taken into the account. Usually, sales tax is a tax. Income tax is a tax. Excise duty. Because if you say excise tax, automatically the pronunciation when you take into the account, it should sound properly. That's the reason why we are not calling customs tax. Rather, we call it as customs duty.
Okay.
Is that clear, Nana? Duty or tax is the same.
Same. Yeah.
Right.
Clear.
Only the thing is, we are using synonyms. One, we are using, usually they say that if taxes which are paid directly supposed to be called as tax, and a tax which supposed to be indirectly imposed, which is called as a duty. They will say that a different meaning, but both are same. Right? Understood?
Yes.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, continue.
Yeah. So now the central government will grant the exemption by giving issuing a notification on capital goods or the spare parts which supposed to be imported into the territory of India, whether a concessional rate may be charged or a nil rate can be charged. So that notifications supposed to be given timely by the central government. The central government only decides. Now, even under Section 25 of the Customs Act authorizes the central government to issue a notification for granting any exemptions. So certain goods partially or wholly may be exempted from the customs duty, that on and like every time. Timely, they are supposed to issue this notice. This has been the customs authority authorizes the central government to do this. The next is relating to the primary duty or auxiliary duty, which can be exempted in certain respects. They also say general or specific exemptions can be granted. And also they also say the fulfillment of certain conditions, then the duty can be exempted. So these are the certain exemption provisions are being stated. And now coming to the types of exemptions, they say by notification you can exempt, or a particular order which is issued on ad hoc basis. Ad hoc means temporarily basis. This year you can exempt, next year you need not exempt. Now last year because of pandemic, probably they might have exempt something and now they have issued to ask them the people to pay the duty. So like that, it is temporarily keep on changing. Next is general exemptions. General exemptions like certain products which are being required to be exempted. So they may say that generally it has been exempted. Or there are exemptions relating to the Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited, ONGC, whatever maybe is being imported, then oil related, that is exempted. Then other exemptions. So it all depends upon the government to decide. Now we have a customs duty drawbacks. Now duty drawbacks about the goods which are manufactured in India and exported as either of the following. So rebate of the duty is chargeable, or a rebate of the duty of excise, or a drawback which is equal to your customs duty, which is paid on your inputs, which are being imported. Maybe that is being, you can exempt. The next, coming to the baggage rules, the customs rules also need to be taken care of for the valuation of your customs. So these are the things which need to be followed. The next, registration, which need to be done according to the Customs Act. So here, the board has the authority to make rules relating to the provisions which need to be carried out for the purpose of registration under this Act. Now, usually the customs house agents licensing regulations need to be registered, and a project import regulations of 1986 also can be registered. Now, we have other specific notifications under Customs Act, which has been stated under Section 25(1) and other sections. They also state that they are authorized to issue the notifications by the central government. The board also issues the circulars and manual, the public notices, the taxable events, etc. They will state by the board. Now, coming to the territorial water. Now, India has been surrounded with the three areas. If you take 3 sides of the India is surrounded with water, and only one side it is being surrounded with land. Now, Customs Act will also take into the account the water also into the account, because earlier days people used to transport the goods through, even now also they will transport the goods through the vessels. Now, because they think that transporting the goods through vessels is a cheaper, the transport cost is very cheaper. Now, I already told you, I think so, that from Australia to India, India to Australia, the goods are being transported, and it takes 1 month to reach Australia if it is transporting from India, or from Australia to India also in the same manner, 1 month it requires. Now, any transportation which is taking care between the water, that means there we have a customs authorities which are being taken care of in the port. Customs authority in the port, customs authority in the airport, because through airlines also we will consider. But now, because see, Australia and India both are, see, India is surrounded with 3 sides water. Australia we are having completely in the water. Now, we have to decide the area under the water. We always say which is the boundaries of India. They always say that the 12 nautical miles will be treated within India. So the territorial waters stretch out up to 12 nautical miles. That means the boundary of India itself you will not take into the consideration. From the boundary till 12 nautical miles, the water territorial states that it is within India. So any import which is being made after that area, then we will say that it is being transported from that country to this country. So within this nautical area, if you transport, that becomes within the India, it is not outside the India. So that means it is defining the territorial water also, that the boundaries relating to India, which is being stated under the territorial waters, and it is being specified that 12 nautical miles from the standard on the shoreline of India, that will be considered. Now, high seas. Now, whatever the sale which is carried out the actual consignee to another buyer while the goods are on high seas. So that means the transport which has been taken place between the 2 countries, and this transport which has been an agreement which is entered between higher sea buyer and the high sea seller. So these two, and the cargo arriving to the territorial jurisdiction from importing country to the where it has to import. So all these also will be taken care of under the IC also into the account. So these things, they have to see, a consignee should send a copy of bill of lading, import invoice, import packing list, certificate of origin, insurance certificate. He also see to it whether it comes under the GST applicability or not. If it comes under the GST, then bill of entry he has to produce. He has to file a return, and he has to see to it that whether he will be liable for the payment of tax, at what time the levy of tax is supposed to be payable, and what payment has been made, for high seas of sales. All these supposed to be discussed and need to be stated according to the act. So this is also need to be considered. The next, coming to the types of customs duty, that is a basic custom duty. The basic custom duty is, it is a basic rate like a 5%, 2%, which supposed to be stated in your first schedule of the Customs Tariff Act and need to be specified. That is your basic customs duty. Next, additional countervailing the duty. This is an additional duty which has been imported into the country, and this is usually equal to the excise duty, because whatever the commodity, if it is manufactured, that means raw materials, if you are importing and converting into a finished goods, we supposed to levy an excise duty. So whatever the amount which we are levying in the form of excise duty, that if you are levying in case of imported goods, like let us say mobile to be manufactured, the parts supposed to be imported, and we are assembling in India and we are producing a mobile. So in such cases, the parts which are being imported supposed to be treated as a manufactured. So excise duty supposed to be levied. That excise duty, whatever you're levying on the imported goods, that we will call it as an additional duty or the countervailing the duty. Then export duties, in case if the authorities like think that the goods which are exported from India are chargeable to pay the export duties, those export duties are also levied. Then we will see to it that cess, now educational cess, the secondary, primary and secondary education and higher education cess supposed to be levied along with the other duties. Then those cess are also be leviable on those articles which are being exported like coffee, car. Next is lac, mica, tobacco, even marine products, cashew products, black pepper, iron ore, oil cakes, meals, animal feed, and turmeric. All these, on these products, even the cess supposed to be collected. Now, educational cess need to be collected. So all these different types of duties supposed to be collected. Even the national calamity contingent duty is also levied. And they say that it is being levied on pan masala, chewing tobacco, cigarettes, because actually they are supposed to avoid these products. If the people who are purchasing, so automatically they will charge the duty more on that. Mostly the rate is 10% to 45%, which is being levied on such goods, pan masala, chewing tobacco, and cigarettes. And whatever the duty which is levied can be used for the purpose of natural calamity purpose. That's the reason why the duty which is called as a national calamity contingent duty. So like this, they are the duties which are supposed to be levied. Now, coming to the next is coming to the valuation of custom. Whatever the goods which are being imported, under that we are supposed to value. Now, as you know, the transaction value. So how a transaction value need to be evaluated. So here they have to see to it that one minute. Now, what are the legal provisions are there for evaluating the value? So they'll see to it the price at which such goods which are ordinarily sold or offered for a sale or for a delivery at the time or a place of importation or exportation, as the case may be, they have to take that sole consideration or interest in the business or whatever may be, that we will treat it as a transaction value. Now, in the transaction value, we are supposed to add certain things. So the transaction value method which we take into the account, in that we are supposed to add the dutiable factors like the cost of packing, whether for a labor or a materials. We have to see to it the cost of containers also we have to consider, the value or a portion as appropriate of the following goods and services which are being supplied, and the materials or a components or a parts which are similar items incorporated in imported goods, tools, dyes, molds, or similar items which are used for the sake of production of imported goods, material consumed in the imported goods, engineering, development, artwork, design work, plans, sketches undertaken elsewhere than those importing. Like I can say here as the Andhra Pradesh, the Amaravati capital supposed to be designed. The Singapore people have gave the design. They have given the plan. They have undergone all those designer work relating to the capital. How a high court should be, how a capital secretariat supposed to be constructed. All those plans for a Andhra Pradesh capital was designed by the Singapore. So in such cases, those values supposed to be added for the sake of computing the transaction value. So the Singapore people have designed. So this is a best example which you can take for engineering, developing artwork, or design work, plans, sketches undertaken elsewhere than in importing country. So it is been from, and I think Germany or Japan related the way of construction procedure was implemented in Amaravati capital for constructing the building. They were not constructed the walls as we will construct using the bricks, etc. They have concrete walls has been constructed. So those walls which are being right from the bottom of the earth till I think it is 10 floors or so, which supposed to be constructed, which is being constructed using the Germany technology which is being applied. So such kind of things which are being taken up, then they have to take those values supposed to be added for the transaction value for calculation of import. I think this is a good example which you can remember forever whenever you talk about the valuation of Customs Act. Now, coming to the royalties, license fees in respect to the goods or the buyer and anything which you have to take into the account, or any disposable or use of the goods which accrues directly or indirectly of the seller. The next relating to the freight charges, the loading, unloading, handling charges associated with transporting the goods, insurance, all these are supposed to be considered for adding the value for the transaction to be determined. And a non-dutiable factors also we have to consider, like interest charges, post importation charges, inland transportation charges, duties and taxes which are payable in India. The transaction value method need to applicable in this manner. And they also say that there are certain conditions which we need to refer. So we'll see to it that which method is not applicable. Now they have taken into the account the conditions which are referred under sub-rule 4 and sub-rule 2 also required to be satisfied for applying the transaction value method. So to apply the transaction value method, they are supposed to refer to the conditions. The next, competitive conditions for the sale of ordinary course of trade, that is also need to be taken care of. The next, abnormal discounts. See, normal discounts if you have availed, it's okay. Like let me tell you, at the time of Ashadam sale, a discount has been given. You know very well, at the time of Ashadam, the products which has a low demand, people will never purchase because neither a festival is there nor any other issue or an occasion for which the people supposed to purchase. In such cases, the business people, what they do is to attract the people, they will issue more of discounts. only that season if they are issuing, and in the normal other seasons, if they are not issuing the discount, then it cannot be called as a normal discount, it is an abnormal discount. So that's the reason why those discounts, if it is there, it should not be included in the sale price. That is one which we have to consider. Now, special discounts, if it is being given for a relative agent, because that the other person may be agent to our business and we may be agent to them. So to accommodate each other, we may give a special discount for them. In such cases, those special discounts should not be considered. The next they say about the restrictions concerning for the dispositions or the use of the goods, even that also need to be and should not be considered for the valuation of transaction value. And any part of the proceeds of the goods, like you may be resale or a disposal or a use, like let us say we will enter into a contract, we will purchase this commodity because we will resale afterwards. Like that, if that considerations or conditions, if it is stated, so those things should not be added under the value which is being determined under the transaction value method. So that's the reason why these are the things also need to be considered. The next they say about is about the other valuation methods which we have to apply. So which is under rule 5, they say the transaction value of identical goods. Now see, I'm also producing and selling some goods which are being imported. Maybe a rivalry firm is also doing. So automatically what I can do is I need not evaluate what is the value of that. Rather, what is the value which is charged by other company, because it is an identical product, I can straight away absorb the same determination of transaction value. Based on that, the tax will be payable. So that is called as a transaction value of identical goods, the under rule 5. Now, similar goods, identical, similar, you need to know. Similar and identical, there is a slight difference you may have, but both are the same. So automatically any transaction value which is determined based on your similar goods, even that is taken according to the rule 6 or a deductive value method. So now from the selling price of the imported goods, what are being deducting? Like sales expenses can be deducted, the margin of profit can be deducted, the duties and taxes need to be deducted. Like that, if you'll take the whole value and from that whatever is admissible to deduct, those you are deducting, then you will call this as a deductive value method. The next is computed value method under rule 7A. Now here they say that the cost of fabrication, the processing charges, the profit, the general expenses, the dutiable factors, all that which has been stated according to the rule of 9, taking that as a base, you are computing the value. That is the reason why it is called as a computed value method. Now coming to the fallback method, which has been stated according to the rule 8, they say, which is a very flexible application in conducting or determining the valuation methods which is being applied. So that is being come under the fallback method. Now coming to the next is regarding to the export value information, whatever the value which is being considered for the goods which are exporting, we also need to first of all determine the value. So the export value need to be considered. So here the custom valuation information, whatever may be is been stated under the WTO, that is World Trade Organization, the ministerial decisions will be taken, will be considered. Based on that, it will be first of all see to it how a transaction value can be computed. Now to first the transaction value, if it is being computed, now we need to know how a duty is to be leviable. So here the customs duty need to be leviable. So that's the reason why first of all we have to take a comparative value method to calculate the transaction value of same items according to the rule 4, or a deductive value method, or a computed value method, or a fallback value method. Based on that, under whatever, we have to see to it that the three components need to be levied, that is IGST, CGST, and SGST. So to evaluate, we need to see to it that what method is to be taken and how it is to be, a duty can be levied, need to be considered. Now we have online customs duty also. The online customs duty which is available from ICE gate, that is Indian Customs Electronics Commerce or Electronic Data Exchange Gateway. In that, a portal allow you to file e-filing services and also gives you a facility to know what is your online customs duty. So here the cargoes collectively known as a trading partner or electronic filing of bill of entry, shipping bills, or any other related information which are being sent through emails or a foreign trade practices or a web uploaded receipts, all that will be considered. Taking that as a basis, you can easily compute the online duty. So now the payment is also made online. So when a payment is to be made online, you can click on e-payment and you can unpaid the challans in your name and select the challan on which you have to make a payment. And also the payment gateway you have to consider, you have to click that and see to it that you can make the payment. The payment can be made either through your online bank account or a credit card or a debit card or whatever maybe you can use, and based on that the payment can be made. Now coming to the next is the baggage. Baggage here there are two things which you have to take into the account for the persons and the goods. Now persons, like let us say the individuals who are traveling for international, that means in the international flights, or probably if they are going to the America, USA, or whatever may be the places. So in such cases, what is the baggage that we need to see to it? Usually luggage, we will call it as baggage, is nothing but a luggage for a passenger traveling either by air or a sea or from one country to another. Now, in case if they are carrying the dutiable goods which are imported by the passenger, or you may be like sending the goods from the airport. So in such cases, we have to see to it that whether your baggage is unaccompanied baggage or accompanied baggage. Accompanied baggage means you are traveling along with your goods. That becomes your accompanied baggage. Unaccompanied baggage means here what you're doing, either before or after you may start your traveling, you either you may be during the transit, you may be traveling, or once the baggage is arrived, after that you may travel, or like you have already reached the place but the baggage will come after you reach the place, like that also will be there. That is called as unaccompanied baggage. Now here they say that the time limit if the baggage is received before arrival, up to 2 months before the arrival or within such period, or as allowed by the assistant or a deputy commissioner of customs, that will they take into the consideration. Now what is green channels and red channels? Now green channels means if a person does not have any dutiable goods, he can go through it without undergoing any check. So along with the baggage, hence it is applicable under green channel. The red channel where is carrying the dutiable goods and he should pass through it and submit a declaration under section 77 to the customs authorities so that the baggage can be inspected by the authorities. Now the rate of duty, the tariff valuation applicable of baggage, what shall be the rate and how a valuation has been done, all that, and a declaration which is to be filed, all that is to be made under section 77. And the rate of duty plus 35% is the baggage on which the rate is applicable, plus 2% is educational cess, and secondary higher education cess is 1%. So altogether it is 36.05% which is being charged on importing the goods. Now, like let us say any additional customs duties or also may be levied if it is a countervailing duty supposed to be levied. So that even that is also taken into the consideration. The passenger, if his age is over and above 18 years, then he may be exempted if he's carrying a laptop along with him. Okay. Only a basic customs duty may be levied and rest of the duties need not be levied. Now, a temporary detention of baggage under Section 80, if it has been taken into the account. Now, whenever the passenger was leaving the India, an order, what he has to do is an authorized passenger, when is leaving in India, the cargo or a bona fide baggage, whatever may be, whether it is exempted under Section 79 or not, they have to approach the proper officer. The officer supposed to see to it whether it should be the duty should be free or he has to charge. So those articles, etc., he has to verify and see to it that whether he is need to pay. Like maybe it can be a gift, it can be something which has been provided. Based on that, they have to consider those rules and provisions under the baggage. So they have to take that into the account and accordingly it will be charged. The next will be relating to the declaration by owner of baggage under Section 77, determination of rate of duty and the tariff valuation under Section 78, bona fide baggage exempted from the duty under Section 79, the temporary detention of baggage is under Section 80, regulations in respect of baggage Section 81. All this need to be considered. Now, coming to the goods which are imported or exported by post, even that is also been considered. Then label or a declaration accompanying goods to be treated as an entry under Section 82. The rate of duty and tariff valuation in respect of the goods which are imported or exported under Section 83. Regulations regarding the goods imported to be exported by the post under Section 84. Stores may be allowed to the warehouse without assessment of duty under Section 85. Transit and the shipment of stores under Section 86. Imported stores may be consumed on the board of a foreign going vessel or an aircraft under Section 87. Application of Section 69 and Chapter 10 to the stores under Section 88, which are being specified. Like that in Section 89 and 90, which also states about the stores to be free of export duty and the concessions in respect of import stores for the Navy, which is being considered, and a label or a declaration accompanied goods to be treated as an entry under Section 82. So these are the things which we have to consider. Along with these are the provisions also being stated. Based on that, whether a duty is leviable or not will be seen, and accordingly the passenger is supposed to pay off. So with this, I think we have completed the whole syllabus of your indirect taxes. Hope you have understood. Have you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts? Any doubts?
మ్యామ్ మనం అదర్ కంట్రీస్ నుంచి మనం గూడ్స్ అవి కమాడిటీస్ మనం ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసుకుంటున్నప్పుడు అంటే ట్యాక్స్ అనేది మన రూపీస్ లో కౌంట్ అంటే మనం ట్యాక్స్ వేస్తామా, లేదంటే వాళ్ళ దగ్గర ఉన్న డాలర్ కానీ ఆ వాళ్ళ దగ్గర ఉన్నదైతే అమౌంట్ ప్రకారం ట్యాక్స్ వేస్తామా మ్యామ్?
ఒకటి ఫస్ట్ మనం తెలుసుకోవాల్సింది ఏంటంటే మనం ఫారినర్ ని కట్టమంటున్నామా మనని కట్టమంటున్నామా? యూజువల్ గా ఇంపోర్టింగ్ ఆఫ్ ద గూడ్స్ అంటే మనం చేస్తున్నాం కదా. మనము ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ ఉంది, మొబైల్ పార్ట్స్ అన్ని నేను ఇంపోర్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను. నేను ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నాను? నా బిజినెస్ పర్పస్ కి నేను చేసుకుంటున్నా. అవన్నీ పార్ట్స్ అన్ని ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసుకుని నేను ఇక్కడ మొబైల్ యాక్సెసరీస్ అని పెట్టి నేను మొబైల్ కింద అసెంబుల్ చేసి మొబైల్ కింద నేను అమ్ముతున్నాను. అలాంటప్పుడు నేను కనుక టాక్సెస్ ని పార్ట్స్ ని ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు, నేను ఇండియాలోనే ఉండి నేను ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు నేను రూపీస్ లోనే పే చేస్తా కదా. ఏమా అర్థమైందా?
ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు మ్యామ్,
ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు యూజువల్ గా అయితే టాక్సెస్ ఏవి అడగరు, పే చేయమని అన్నారు. ఎందుకు అంటే మనము ఎప్పుడు కూడా ఎంకరేజ్ చేయాలి. ఎవరైతే ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేస్తున్నారో వాళ్ళని మనము ఎంకరేజ్ చేయాలి. ఎందుకు ఎంకరేజ్ చేయాలి అని అంటే ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళ ద్వారా మనము ఇంటర్నేషనల్ మార్కెట్ లోకి ఎంటర్ అవుతాం. మన కమోడిటీస్ కి ఆ డిమాండ్ వస్తుంది. వాళ్ళు కనుక మోర్ అండ్ మోర్ పీపుల్ ఇఫ్ దే ఆర్ సాటిస్ఫైడ్ విత్ అవర్ గూడ్స్, then automatically our demand will be increased. సో డిమాండ్ ఇంక్రీజ్ అయినప్పుడు సప్లై ఇక్కడ మనకి ప్రొడక్షన్ ఇంక్రీజ్ అవుతుంది. ఇక్కడ మనకి మనం అన్ని రకాలుగా మనము ఎలిజిబిలిటీ వస్తుంది. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం మనం అక్కడ సోల్ చేసినప్పుడు అక్కడ ఫారిన్ కరెన్సీ అంతా కూడా మనకి అంటే రూపాయి వచ్చే దగ్గర 70 రూపాయలు వస్తుంది అని అంటే ఎంత మనకి 70% మనకి లాభం వస్తున్నట్టు కదా. ఆ లాభాన్ని మనం ఏంటి మన సోషల్ వెల్ఫేర్ రిలేటెడ్ యాక్టివిటీస్ కి మనం ఉపయోగించుకోవచ్చు. ఎందుకంటే ఇప్పుడు నేనే ఉన్నాను, నేను ఈ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను కమోడిటీస్. సో నాకు రెవెన్యూ బోల్డ్ వస్తుంది. నాకు రెవెన్యూ బోల్డ్ వచ్చినప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తున్నాను, నేను ఇంకేదైనా ట్యాక్సెస్ రూపంలో గవర్నమెంట్ కి పే చేసినప్పుడు ఆటోమేటిక్ గా గవర్నమెంట్ ఏం చేస్తుంది, ఆ అమౌంట్ ని మన సోషల్ వెల్ఫేర్ యాక్టివిటీస్ కి ఉపయోగిస్తుంది. కాబట్టి ఇప్పుడు నన్ను ఎంకరేజ్ చేసినందువల్ల గవర్నమెంట్ కి ఒక రకంగా బెనిఫిట్ అవుతుంది. ఇప్పుడు మీ అందరికి ఫీజులు గవర్నమెంట్ కడుతోంది. ఏ రకంగా గవర్నమెంట్ కి ఉపయోగపడుతుందో మీరు చెప్పండి. మీరందరూ చదువుకుని రేపొద్దున ఉద్యోగాలు చేస్తే దిస్ ఇస్ హౌ a national income will be calculated, right? So when you are studying now, you are utilizing these services, this educational services into your productivity. So when you are using in the form of a productivity, automatically you are developed, automatically the country is also developed. So the country is benefited indirectly. So that is the reason why the country is now investing the amount on the youth by paying their fees, etc. Followed?
yes ma'am.
Any other doubts?
No ma'am.
Amma, I can give you one more example. The parents are also investing on their children, right? Now, why they are investing on their children? See, education or anything purposes, they are investing on their children. So automatically, if the children is developed, your family will be developed. When your family is developed, automatically always మన సమాజం ఎక్కడో లేదు కదా, మనలోనే ఉంది. మనము ప్రగతి చెందితే, మన వాడ ప్రగతి చెందితే ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ఆ విలేజ్ కానీ ఆ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ కానీ ఆ టౌన్ కానీ డెవలప్ అయ్యింది అని అంటే మీకు కంట్రీ కూడా డెవలప్ అయినట్టే కదా.
yes ma'am.
అది ఇంకేమైనా ఉన్నాయా డౌట్స్?
లేవు.
అర్థమవుతుందా?
yes ma'am.
డౌట్స్ లేవు అంటే అర్థం కానట్టు లెక్క.
వింటున్నాను నేను కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ తో.
వింటున్నారా? మీరు ఇవంతా కూడా ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ గా ఉంటుందమ్మా. కాదా అంటే రూల్స్ ప్రకారం ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి ఒకసారికి 2 సార్లు చదివితే గానీ అర్థం కాకపోవచ్చు కానీ, బట్ చాలా ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ సబ్జెక్ట్ ఇదైతే. ఇండైరెక్ట్ టాక్సెస్, జిఎస్టి చాలా చాలా ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ నాకు అనిపిస్తుంది. మరి నాకు తెలియదు మీకు అనిపించిందో లేదు.
ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్
నేను అనిపించేటట్టుగా చేశానో లేదో నాకైతే తెలియదు కానీ, బట్ ఇదేంటంటే రెగ్యులర్ గా మన అకౌంట్స్ వగేరాలు కాకుండా అదర్ సైడ్ ఆఫ్ ద కాయిన్ వి ఆర్ సీయింగ్. Anyway, I think this is the last class. Hope you have understood or not, probably, but I have completed my target, right? I think when do you have your exams?
31st నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అవుతున్నాయి.
ఓకే, ఈ 31st నుంచి మీకు ఎగ్జామ్సా?
అవును మ్యామ్.
Very good. So all the best, Nana. Prepare well for your exams. And I think all 5 units or 6 units, whatever the blocks which you have is very, very important. So every unit is being considered for you for the exam. So equal importance supposed to be given and equal concentration is also need to be taken care and prepare well for the exam. Okay. You all should get good marks.
Thank you.
You all should get good marks, which in return I'll get the benefit saying that my students could able to understand whatever I could able to say. That is the reason why they could able to perform and their performances are good in the examination. So నేను కాలర్ ఎగరేస్తా, ఓకేనా?
ఓకే.
Okay.
ఎప్పుడు మీ ఎగ్జామ్స్ మీ రిజల్ట్స్ వచ్చాక మీ పర్సంటేజ్ పెరిగాక, ఇప్పుడు కాదు, గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. రైట్? ఓకే నాన్న, see you. Probably we may not get a chance to see again. Anyway, all the best. Right? So I'm leaving the session. Thank you.
థ్యాంక్ యూ మ్యామ్.
Thank you, ma'am.
All the best.